Hello and welcome. You tuned to the Leg Up, your weekly thoroughbred preview show, best hour of trackside television, presented by the TAB. Joined in studio as always by Paul Maoate and Stephen Hunt. Good morning to you, Paul. You were at Champions Day last weekend. Enjoy the day.
It was a very, very good day. In fact, it was better than that. It had everything.
It sure did.
I mean, we even went overtime in the big feature, the $4 million NZB Kiwi. But in terms of the crowd and the vibe and the atmosphere, sensational. Of course, Savage played after the...
So I saw you sprinting out there to the mosh pit.
Oh, yeah, had the old... no, it was sensational. The club put on a fantastic day. The track, as we know, always plays very, very well. And there was drama to be had. But yeah, I don't think you could ask for too much. They couldn't have packed in anything else.
Yeah, the people enjoy it because you got around the people. They're having a chat to a few on the course. They seemed happy with the day as well.
Well, the weather played its part, to be fair. And
quite hot too, went out the front.
It was very, very warm. But as you say, the punters were having a great time, whether they were winning or losing. They enjoyed the festivities. And for those who are racing purists, there was something for you as well with... Well, I'll let Steve talk about the numbers and such.
Speaking of racing purists, you were obviously doing the yards down at New Plymouth, but you've had a chance to cast your eye over, obviously, the racing and also running the numbers, the column you write on trackside.co.nz as well. What were the standout performances? What were the things of interest for you on the day?
Oh, look, first, well written. She didn't reach the dizzy heights to the Karaka Million number, where she ran 103 and change. She ran 100 smackaroo, right on the nail, when winning the NZB Kiwi on the weekend. But I think if you look at the race as a whole and how it unfolded, she sat handy to a very strong early speed, the fastest early pace of the day. And you look at those horses that finished around her, they were positioned worse than midfield. So for her to stick on, we've seen her wins leading up, pulling away and being very comfortable. But this time she had to show a different angle on how she won, and she did it through toughness. She carried the 58 kilograms, 1.5 kilograms more than Belchevelle, who was coming at her late. So that adds plenty to the merit when you're assessing the rating of 100 compared to what she produced in the Karaka Million. So no real knock on her. She ended up getting the job done for all the punters that invested in her in the months leading in. So, but look, there were some fantastic performances. Legato, which we now know was her swan song, full stop, here and across Australia. It was a fantastic win and call from George. I love that graphic call in the last 200 to 300 metres around her. Paradise Storm rated through the roof. Now, I know they went out at a very soft tempo and it was far from a staying event, but there was real no excuses because the turn of foot and the margin you put on the rivals. So it'll be interesting to see what OTI does with Paradise Storm. Will they elect to chance his arm and run in a Sydney Cup? That remains to be seen. And in the Derby, Road to Paris, look, he rated 93.5, which is well below standard when you're looking at the winning performance rating on historic figures. So you're not sure how to weigh up the Derby. On the eye and off my numbers, it lacks substance. But in saying that, we'll see how a few of those horses go across Australia to see how strong that Derby is in months to go.
Okay. Just with well written, it's been a tough old campaign. And as Belchevelle came up alongside her, do you think she just caught a bit of a glimpse of Belchevelle and just went, nah?
Yeah, I do. I do. I think there was a bit of fighting tiger in her in the last 50 to 75 metres, and even through the line, they still hadn't got past her. If you roll the footage / tape, 50, 75 metres past the line, she's still in front. So, not to say that she had a huge amount of petrol left in the tank, but again, just the way the race shaped, she was very brave to stick on and get the job done when all her key rivals who were flashing at her light had the softer runs.
Okay. Look, no Brendan Popwell today, boys.
No, well, it's Friday the 13th, Black Friday, so I hear he's superstitious.
Okay, so he's given himself the day off. So you guys are going to have to lift today and double your efforts, and you can start, Steve, because we're going to go to BP's Maiden of the Week. What did he find for us?
We'll go to Nanaki, who was there for NZB Kiwi Day, the second tier meeting obviously, but this was halfway through the program. King Jackal, who was very, very impressive, was just lukewarm in the market between that $455 quote, but Mariana Hudson elected to go forward, ride the individual as the best horse in the field, sat second out her off a moderate tempo to the 600s. You can see there graphically. Look, the class rating is nothing flash, but you've got to trust the eye. He was stepping from 14 to a mile here. And yeah, look, he looks to be a progressive type coming out of the right barn. So, look, I think on pedigree, his sweet spot might be over further, a mile and a quarter and beyond. So, look, he's one to follow. Not sure how deep he'll get through the autumn/winter, but that was a genuine soft track on the weekend, and he ticked that box. So, King Jackal, a couple of horses to come out of the race. Tsunami Sue. Look, she ran home the best closing sectional, 6.42. Just often slow away, costs herself, becomes a low percentage play, and she can mix her action a little bit, get off the wrong legs, Tsunami Sue. And also Prince Valiant, who I thought should have run second in the race. Again, a horse that can be a little bit tardy, a little bit slow, just only had the 5 starts, learning his ring craft and getting a bit stronger. Maybe he's one horse to follow, maybe next preparation. I was speaking to the camp on course, and they thought that he's just a little bit weak right now, but once he develops, he can put himself closer to speed. He'll win a fair few races as Prince Valiant.
I thought it was a tough run by Chica de Oro as well. 3 wide the trip. And stuck on nicely to finish into that second place, but I do agree with Steve. And this is sort of the case with just about every single one of BP's maidens of the week.
Yes.
Look at some of those that finished in behind. You'll find a couple of next up winners. So yeah, Chica de Oro, and I really did think Prince Valiant was super.
Sounds like you're on Prince Valiant, to be honest.
I'll give you the tip. I'll be on next time.
Okay, sub-winners, as they say in the trade. Let's talk about Tauranga and Whanganui. We want to start at Tauranga. It's Japan Trophy Day, Steve, but before we get there, let's talk weather and track.
Yeah, very tricky for both venues come Saturday. The fact that if you're watching the show live on a Friday morning, there's rain forecasted at both Tauranga and Whanganui. It's currently a soft 6. Rail goes back in the true. They've had 3 meetings in 2026. The last meeting was 4 or 5 weeks ago, where it was a dead track that day. So, yeah, very dependent on how the track's going to play to how much rain we get today and where that pentrometer reading comes up on first swing tomorrow. So it's a little bit wait and see, unfortunately, but currently a soft 6, rain forecasted on Friday.
I was promised drone shots, though, wasn't it? That drone was stationary there at Tauranga. To work on that for next week.
Coscutton.
Let's go race number 7 on the card. It is the Ultimate Mazda Japan Trophy Group 2. Run us through this market, Steve.
Yeah, a lot of these markets are fairly static, low turnover, and that's purely the unknown around track conditions. But when it comes to the Japan Trophy, the Group 2 feature, Sterling Express holds the call at 340, just in front of Kaliel Farasha. They did open 340 each of 2 earlier in the week. Leroy Brown at $7.50, Kafra at $12, Frank the Tank at $14, Chattahoochee at $16. Shares that price with Cannon Hill and Amiga Boy. Best of the rest is Super Photon out at $19. So no clear lead, but what I can say, Sterling Express is your lone fave at 3.4.
Okay, let's start with the gold standard form here, you'd think. And that's the Otaki Māori weight for age over the mile at Ellerslie. Sterling Express finishes 4th. Kaliel Farasha finishes 6th.
Look, he's one of these horses, you go back to 12 months ago, you saw Waitak competing in a lot of the Group 1s over shorter trips. Just that slight drop in grade benefited his chances when he won this race 12 months ago. And I think it's a similar profile when it comes to Sterling Express. A slight drop in grade. He's probably been 1 or 2 lengths off our elite horses at Group 1 level, whether it's been over 12, 14 or 16. But he fits this race well, purely because, excuse me, 2 of his 3 best ratings have been on a soft 7 or worse, so he ticks that box. Look, he's finished 4th twice at Group 1 level over the mile. There's a lot of people speculating that the mile might be a touch of a stretch for him. But as I say, last start 4th in the Otaki weight for age. Earlier this season, he was 4th in the Howden Insurance Mile at Group 1 level. So I think with that slight drop in grade, a mile was no issue for this individual.
Okay, what about Kaliel Farasha? She's a quality mare, and she can certainly bob up in a race like this. What did you make of the 6th?
Yeah, it's similar boat to Sterling Express, the fact that she's just finding 2 or 3 better at the elite level, so that drop back to Group 2 looks to be a real sweet spot. She can just stalk this hot speed. I think there's at least 4 or 5 that will go forward and make it a true run event over the 1,600 metres. So Michael McNabb, he'll look to stalk that hot speed, present the horse at the top of the straight and look to finish over the top late. And again, a horse that no dramas at the mile. You go back as a 3-year-old, she was placed in New Zealand Oaks, and also as an older horse, she placed in the Counties Cup. So she'll find the strong mile to her liking.
Okay. What about the Matamata Open, Paul? We want to talk about bad Leroy Brown getting the job done ahead of Kafra here, and he was good this day.
He really was. Look, he took control of the race from a handy gate. He was then left to his own devices and just strolled along. And when they headed into the straight, he just had too much of a head start on them. And as George Simon said, he was a good Leroy Brown this day, and certainly deserved the win after a number of runner-up finishes. I thought Kafire came up and sort of challenged him, tried to challenge on the turn, but Leroy Brown just had too much of a start and too much in the tank. Look, Kafire, I can see that we've had a wee bit of early money, although, as Steve said, there's not a lot of liquidity in the market, just with the weather conditions we have at the moment. But, yeah, Leroy Brown, a deserved win, and certainly a chance here as well.
Yeah, this is the second in the Wairere Falls Classic, Steve. And, look, there's been some money on Frank the Tank. I see it double-figure price, so it's a losing result clearly for the TAB. He manages to work his way into third.
I thought his run held a lot of merit. The fact that it was against the track bias, total of 3 leaders won on this day, and you had to be within a length of the lead at the 600 metre mark. It was a real up and in day, but Frank the Tank, who was 3 wide for the majority of the race, but did have cover. But as I say, he came from worse in midfield and probably found himself outside that top 1 to 3 lane, which looked to be advantageous on the day. So add some merit into the win, or should I say the run. Leroy Brown, I've just got some interesting stats around Leroy Brown. There's 5 wins from 19 starts when he's leading. So he's led on 19 occasions, and he's won on 5 different times. So that's a reasonable strike rate. The fact that he's just 1 win from 14 starts when he hasn't led, and he's been unplaced 12 from 14 when not leading as well. So the interesting fact that he's drawn a wide gate, so he's going to add real tempo in the first 200 to 300 metres of this race, and there's a few horses that have drawn inside and that will push forward as well. So they'll ask him to do a little bit of work, but the key around this individual is when he's led and won on 5 out of his 6 victories, he's gone out to the 600 3 lengths above standard at every start. So it's about controlling that tempo. So once he gets to the lead after possibly 200-300 metres, look, Jack Taplin will have to rate the horse accordingly. If he goes too hard and well above standard to the 600, he'll be very vulnerable in the last 100, 150 metres. So it's about just rating the horse accordingly. 3 lengths above standard is the sweet spot, and if he can do that to the 600, he will be very hard to catch down the Tauranga straight. So, but as I say, he adds real tempo to the race, because as I say, there's 2 or 3 horses that have drawn lower gates or want to push forward and challenge him and make it hard for him to get across in that first 150, 200 metres with a soft run.
Okay, loves the Tauranga surface too, does Lera. If he's going to perform, it's probably going to be there. What did you think, Paul, in the end? In the wash-up in the Japan Trophy, what's the betting strategy?
Look, it's very, very hard to look away from those 2 at the top of the market, Sterling Express and Kelly Alfarasha. But if you're going to have a first 4 or something, I thought maybe you might want to throw in Omega Boy, last start winner at Harwood. Look, this is a step up in class, but if he runs anywhere near the form that he showed there at Harwood, I think he'll be right there in the finish. Got a handy gate as well. But I've gone boring Sterling Express to win. Just off that run in the Otaki Māori.
He deserves a race like this, doesn't he?
He
it's
does.
The sort of race you'd think, and as Stephen alludes to, just back and grade that little bit and gets in all right at the weights, I think, at 57. What about you, Steve? You might be with the CD Raider, are you? Yeah,
I am, just on Sterling Express. Again, at the mile, because I think a lot of people are having a bit of trepidation as to why they'd take the $3.40 and it would be coming down to the mile and getting a strong mile. But he ran 95.6 in terms of performance rating, the Howden Insurance Mile Group 1 level. I reckon you need to be winning. To be winning this race, I reckon you need to be hitting 94 and change. So he's got a little bit of wiggle room to be winning this race if he can kind of replicate that form that what he did at Te Rapa early in the season in the Group 1. So, but look, I'll go with Frank the Tank, and a lot of that's around the track conditions. If we get the rain, which is forecasted today on Friday, then he comes right into it. Look, he's not ideally placed at set weights and penalties, but he's not horribly off at the weights, and I just loved that run at Manamata. He was one of very few on the day that ran well against the bias. He got back in the second half of the field. Yes, he was covering extra ground, which was hard to do, but he did have cover. But his last 200 to 300 metres was as good as any in that race. So And you can kind of mirror up the four-man Leroy Brown who ran a second into that race. So, yeah, I'll go with Frank the Tank, a nice little each-way quote.
Okay, Steve with Frank the Tank each way. Paulie with our favourite, a deserving favourite in Sterling Express.
Hey, I got a lot of faith in you. I'll stick with you, kid, that's the
LAO award time, Paul. No BP here today.
No.
I feel like this is sort of a stitch-up from Pops in a degree. Who got the LAO award?
I think it was Lindsay Satherley on Moxie, who I believe BP really didn't
$1.01.
like. Of course, Lindsay has been a previous winner of the Lance O'Sullivan Award, having won aboard Joshua Brown, I think, winning at Tarapa. But yeah, super ride here by Lindsay, tucked in behind the leading bunch. Look, was patient when they hit the straight, waited for the gap, got the open air, and then just let down. No, super, and a deserved winner of the Lance O'Sullivan Award for this week.
No, truly is a deserved winner. It was a great ride from Lindsay. Got into a great spot in the run. BP tipped the horse, obviously. We lost around 100,000 on Moxie. It got to $27, started at around 17, and you've seen BP go off when he can find a winner there on race day. It was quite the sight to behold as he was kicking that one
He
home.
gets excited if there's a late scratching and he gets his money back.
I think the whole stand at Ellerslie actually felt BP's reverberations when Moxie won there. So, yeah, essentially, well done, BP.
Interesting to see
Well
where
done
the
to
horse
Lindsay.
goes now. Do they target an Easter handicap? Because she's still well off in terms of handicap races, or do they chance their arm, bring it down to Trentham at Group 1? At Group 1 level for the fillies and mares. So interesting to see which way they go, the camp. But yeah, she's a talented type.
She does love Ellerslie though, so that may be some consideration. Ken Harrison afterwards, not from the Chris Wallace school. Ken after the race, he was circumspect as always, but she's a nice mare going places as Moxie. But well done to Lindsay Satherley, who takes out this week's LAO award. Right, race number 5 on the card team is the open sprint over the 1200 metres. Steve, we see a $2.50 favourite here.
Clearly the best back runner is the Fave December. It's taken roughly 40% of the total hold at $2.50. Got out to $2.60 from memory Thursday morning, but back into 2.5. Egyptian Queen at $6. Shoes at $7.50 will ignite some speed into the race. Merchant Queen at $7.50. Mercurial at $10. Grand Gallo, the second best back runner, even though it's dangling at double figures at $10. Mad Max at $13, Churchillian at $14, I think it's a dual acceptor for Whanganui as well. Gospodin at $17, the local, Cleat at $23, and Florin Best of the Rest at $41. Overall summary, December best back runner, but there is some money around the first up runner, number 7, Grand Gallo.
Okay, let's go back to December winning at Ellerslie in the open handicap. How long ago is this, Steve? This is the last start, run 2nd December, sorry. Mercurial 4th, Merchant Queen 7th, and Shoes will be another pace influence.
Yeah, had no luck this start, 3 wide off what was a very even tempo, but still had the audacity to be right in the finish against I'm All In, who fared a lot better in the run and the weights. And Ardalia, who finished 3rd in this particular race, has upgraded the form with strong performance in the Dubai Classic on Champions Day. The slight red flag is the track. It will show on paper that this individual, December, has won on a heavy track from one start, but that was his debut run at maiden level. So a different ball game when you're having to perform on a rain-affected track in open class standards. So and barrier 1 just might be a bit sticky for Sam McNabb. Again, we're just guessing how the track's going to be, but barrier 1 for a horse that just likes to sit off speed could well be an inferior ground. This is race 5, so you'll get some intel on the first 3 to 4 races leading into this and how much rain has hit the track. But if just looking ahead, there's a couple of factors there. 1, a heavy track, albeit on paper it looks healthy, and also barrier 1 before you dive into the shorts.
I just want to have a quick word on Shoes because been a market mover a lot, and obviously goes forward, puts itself in the race. Will it set up for Shoes okay this race?
There's a lot of speed in this race. You've got Shoes who's drawn the outside gate. Naturally, they'll go forward. And that will bring a lot of pace in the first 200 to 300 metres and probably set the race overall in terms of how it's going to be run. But you got Merchant Queen, we know has tactical speed. Churchillian, if it does race, will hold a spot. They'd be silly not to from a soft draw. And even Mad Max at times has shown speed up and down his career as well. So.
Not getting it its own way.
It's not going to get its own way, but I don't think that's the way to rate Shoes. Shoes is a horse that you just want the horse to go out and go, not rather come back to the field. I don't think it probably has as good a turn of foot as most. So the best option for Shoes from that wide draw, push forward and keep going.
Okay, what about the Tiaka runner, Paul and Egyptian Queen? This is the rating 75 at Matamata last time out for second. Obviously steps up in grade, but she looks progressive and gets the services of Hayley Hassman. Love her sitting down to ride him out like this.
And Hayley gets the 2 kilo claim, which means she gets a 5.5 kilo swing from what she carried this day when she finished second. It was a tough old trip too for her that day when she was 3 wide from around the 800 metre mark. As I said, she carried 58.5 that day, down to 53 on Saturday. She's got a nice draw as well. So she's a definite chance at just about. What do they decide to do? Are they going to just sit in behind the leaders? I think that's the premium spot for her. And if so, and if there's a wee bit of speed on, I think she has got that turn of foot where she can finish up over the top of them. So Egyptian Queen, a definite chance at around the $6 mark.
I know for a fact you think this next horse is a definite chance, and that's Grant Gallo. First up for the O'Sullivan Scott team and has a nice affinity with the Tauranga surface. What are you thinking, Paulie, first?
Oh, I'd give him a big chance, 100%. Look, I looked at the trial. I thought that was very, very good. I'm going. Look, he's had a couple of trials, and although the numbers don't look good for mine, I just like the way that he's just running within himself. If we look back to his second at Ellerslie, what was that last campaign? That was very, very good. Now, I'm really, really keen on the chances of Grant Gallo, and at the price, he looks a decent go.
You've seen some money for it, Steve?
Yeah, it just looks like a plan that's about to come off. The stable have identified this race. I think it was down to run in the last fortnight or so, and they've scratched for whatever reason, but it's had the 2 trials leading in. As we see there, the footage that we've just witnessed, that was this race last year when it carried 56.5, albeit she was third up then. She was basically in the middle of preparation. Here she's first up, but comes out of the right barn. It's had a couple of trials leading in, as they've mentioned, Paul. Her best ratings have been on a soft track, so any rain or fire out of the track will suit. Has an impeccable record in the course and distance, so it brings a lot of ticks. And the fact that a wide draw is no real knock, because we've touched on the speed, it will be there, so Joe can just drop back in that second half of the field, gain some cover, and if the crown of the track is advantageous, Joe and the horse will make the most of it.
You got it in your betting strategy, the big rooster, Paulie?
That's me. I'm going the big rooster, Grant Gallo, each way, $10 and $2.90 top 3 as we speak live on a Friday morning.
Okay, very good, Steve. Betting strategy?
December, there's no spoil in the price, in particular when you're not sure what the conditions are going to be on the day at $2.50, but I think he's clearly the horse to beat. And I do feel if it does get into that heavy range, the camp may scratch. So if he does start, he'll have the conditions to suit. There's one horse I want to mention, Cleat. If it does get to the heavy track, the 1x4 play on Cleat, look, hasn't been seen since August, and that was 75 grades. It's got to step up to open class, and it's had no trial, so I'm not sure where the horse is at. And knowing that's going to be a strong run 1200, that might be a knock. But look, had a very good prep last campaign, winning four races, and 3 of them in his last 5 starts, Cleat. So he's a horse that can just land on speed, stalk the speed, has won at Tauranga before. If it gets to a heavy track, that 23 is decent overs.
Okay, not the 1x3 play, the 1x4 play. I like it.
Okay, I'll go 1x3 with Grant Gallo.
You can't go each way.
I really do like her.
Okay, very good. Paulie with Grant Gallo, December. But just keep an eye on that track and that open sprint. Now, look, it's half time in the show, team. We've had a couple of previews. 3 to go, but first, the leg up feasts.
You've barbecued patties before, yeah? Sweet. So the quinella.
Those patties are ready, bro.
The patties giving out patties. Who's giving out patties? I said, they don't cook yet. Yeah, they don't. Okay.
They're pre-cooked, mate. They're pre-cooked.
Make that frozen still.
Ooh, baby, I like it raw. Yeah, baby, I like it raw. Ooh, baby, I like it raw. Yeah, baby, I like it raw.
Look at that. It's pretty raw, isn't it?
It's pretty rare. Yeah, it's blue.
That's how you're supposed to have him, mate.
Yeah.
You're like, that's what I said. Yeah, well, Dad, Paul Maoate, they'll have it well done. Cows shouldn't be done. That shouldn't be done to cows.
Put it back on the plate. I need it for a shot. Put it on the plate.
Oh, we're going to see a little bit more of that, Paulie, but I like it raw. There's raw, and then there's, what's Sween served to us.
Well, I think we've just come up with the synopsis for a new show, New Zealand's Worst Cooks.
I will say now, Sweens, as we saw evident there, he did take a bite of his burger, and he did mention to me a number of times on Saturday at New Plymouth that he was feeling a little bit unwell.
Yeah, I'm glad I avoided it.
Yeah, karma.
10-foot barge pole stuff. Righto, race number 6 is Tauranga. It's the 3-year-old sprint now, Steve, and this brings together an interesting field, I thought.
Yeah, it does. A lot of form from different directions, including the CD Raider and Platinum Pantheon at $3.70. Well tried from the original price of $3.9. Yokozuna at $6 in that second line too. The Max at $8 shares that third line with Little Black Dress and Chattel Rose. Lady Iris, a pace influencer at $11. There's a group here at $11, $13 throughout the week. One of them's been Queen Evidence. Sibling Rivalries had a slight freshen up. Lucy in the Sky. And Taylor the Gypsy is definitely not out of it. So, really competitive race when it comes to the 3-year-olds over the sprinting trip.
Okay, let's have a look at Platinum Pantheon, our favourite first, Steve, because putting together a nice record. Look, the winner of 3 from 9, so I think the deserved favourite.
Yeah, look, untapped 3-year-old. He's won 3 from his last 5. And look, this day at Trentham, they don't often break 102 for the 1,100 metres, albeit 1,100 metres is not a distance they run often down the TAB chute, but still, they ran time, which is evident by the sectionals there to the 600. Very soft, but the last 600, 32.40. So it was almost mission impossible for the Lisa Ladder trained galloper to pick up the John Barry trained horse. So look, back to 1,200 metres suits. That was 11, obviously, back up to 12. Opie jumps on, looks well placed at set weights and penalties, being a 3-win galloper. And right-handed is maybe the only query, but Lisa Ladder has a tendency to travel her horses up north with success, whether it's at Ellerslie or Tauranga.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Certainly does. What about Stephen Marsh? We know the trainer, don't we? He's got a fair hand in the race here. We're looking at Lady Iris and Little Black Dress, and obviously Lucy in the Sky. Well, it was a talented 2-year-old, and she finishes 4th here.
Yeah, Marshy's got a few dollars in the pocket at the moment, but as you say, the 2 stablemates are here in a field of 4. Look, Lady Iris sat outside the lead and then applied a bit of pressure as they rounded the turn, and then just had enough to stay in front. To be fair to Little Black Dress, she did fight back against the stablemate, and she gets a 4-kilo swing in the weights against her stablemate this time. And we see her at around $8, Little Black Dress, and off that run, a wee bit of improvement. I do like the look of Little Black Dress, to be fair. Look, Lisa Ladder's runner, Platinum Pantheon, will be very, very tough off that second placing at Trentham. But I thought Little Black Dress, second up, with a bit of weight off, down to 53 kilos, a handy draw. I think we go. I think Marshy's getting some more money in his pocket.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, you've given the game away potentially early there. I thought this was an interesting runner, Steve. And Yokozuna for Donna Logan. Looks like 2 starts to the races and impressed in both of them. That was up at Ruakaka, but here's the recent trial taking it out.
Yeah, and at the venue it will be contesting on tomorrow afternoon in Yokozuna. This was 1,000 metres, time just over a minute, 85 there. So, look, a horse that can put itself in the field, lightly raced, which many of these 3-year-olds bring, but it was an impressive debut winner, then ran second to Tarjana at Ruakaka, so that's pretty good form. And you can mirror a lot of that form against some key rivals. So, look, the money's on. I know it's social racing are involved, and those individuals can get stuck in with the big syndicates as well. But, yeah, it's got a soft draw. Michael McNabb's got a lot going for it. It's one you want to keep safe.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I was very interested in Yokozuna. Paul, betting strategy here. What are we thinking? Sounds like you might be with Marshy here.
I'm going to go with Marshy here. Why not? Strike while the iron's hot. And a little black dress for mine. I'm going each way. $8.260. I really do like the chances.
Yeah, okay. Each way for you.
What has Steve done?
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
I'm with you. Come with me, Paul. Little black dress. Yeah. I thought the price was a touch of overs. Not gross overs, but I marked around that $6 quote. Again, you go deep into her form. She's run third to Tajana in a Sunline Vase, second to Well Written in a Soliloquy, and fourth in the 2000 Goonies, which is vital because that was obviously against the boys, but it was a heavy track that day. So she clearly didn't disgrace herself against the boys at Group 1 level on a rain-affected track. So you can back her with a little bit of confidence, knowing that she can handle most conditions, Little Black Dress. And as you say, she was 99 days fresh at Taupo. The winner in Lady Iris had the run leading in. She was second up, and I think that told in the last 75, 50 metres. And I think overall, Little Black Dress, she became the default leader at Taupo. I reckon she's better suited a little bit of cover, and she'll get that again. Another race that has a little bit of speed in the race. There'll be some go-forward horses, so there shouldn't be any drama. I do respect Taylor the Gypsy, the stablemate. I reckon 1400 was just a stretch too far. Again, they're probably exposing this horse for a late challenge for an NZB Kiwi if it ran well in the Uncle Remus, but 14 was always a bit murky, and definitely 1500 would have been. So back to 1200 metres, soft draw, has won on the track, down in the weights. I'd be a little bit nervous leaving that horse out.
Okay, so you've been wanting to watch any market pushes on the day then around.
Yeah, well, again, the Marsh camp, we'll just see which money it gravitates towards, because he has some key rivals, not just in that race, but throughout the card. And maybe if trackside speak to Stephen, he might give a lead.
Fingers crossed. Okay, so the boys with Little Black Dress there in the 3-year-old 1200 metres. People's Boost this week. You're into it, Paul. You'll be into it. It's Sterling Express.
Wow.
And the Japan Trophy, $4.20 available. We got Legato home last week, the boost, leg up boost. That was good.
Yeah, the fairy tale finish.
Yeah, $5, but it's Sterling Express this week. Paul Maoate's all over it. And the Japan Trophy, that is
At
the leg up.
$4.20.
$4.20.
Oh, gee.
Yeah. Max bet $100, Paul, so you have to, quarter your bet, tenth your bet, but $100 around Sterling Express available there. We want to head down to the River City in Whanganui. Let's talk weather and track. We'll preview a couple of races here from here, Steve.
Yeah, again, there's rain forecasted on Friday. Probably not as much as up north at Tauranga, but still currently a soft 6. They've had little rain right throughout the week. Rail goes back in the true. I think it was from memory. It was out 2 metres in the meeting that was at the back end of last month. So when it's back in the true, and if it borders towards that better side of soft, it can play towards horses that are up and in. But at this stage, it's a bit of a watch around the rain on Friday.
Happy with that, drone?
Yeah, that's good. It's got all the money's gone to the CD this week. They've got their drone out there.
Good.
Whanganui, good to see it. Good shot of the River City. Race number 5 on the cards. The first race we want to have a look at, Steve. It's the Open 1340. And we see a progressive horse favourite here.
Maoate, clearly the best back runner. Punter's not scared by the $1.90, holds 50% of the hold. In front of Old Bill Bone at $6.50. Churchillian, as we say, is a dual acceptor here, and Tauranga at $8.50. Bedtime Story at $10 resumes off a slight freshener. Cooper Loves the Joint at $10. River Plate, again, a horse that can go forward at $10. And Blissful Bell, best of the rest at a $12 quote. But Maoate, $1.90, best back.
Okay, let's start with Maoate. The last, this is the win at New Plymouth, but putting together a very impressive record, Steve. Winner of 4 from 8.
Yeah, look, very progressive type. This was over the 1400 metres. Sat on speed on a rain-affected going. I think this was bordering on a heavy, but got through it. So, again, a horse that ticks that box. If we do get the rain that's forecasted on Friday, he has to carry the 58 kilograms. But, look, he has the services of Craig Grills, who knows the horse inside out. Rode this horse at least a couple of times throughout its career, and from barrier 2, he'll have plenty of options.
Yeah, no, you're a Maoate fan, Paulie?
Yes, I certainly am, and rightly so. That record that has been compiled, very, very nice.
I'll be interested to see which way you're going. What about Old Bill Bone, Paul? Because, yes, up and grey, but down and weight. And building nicely, I thought, Old Bill Bone. He's another old favourite of yours.
He certainly is. And look, this race at Ellerslie, he just couldn't get any luck, to be fair, in the straight. As soon as he found a wee bit of air, he really was starting to unwind. And I like the way he finished off into 5th place there. If we go back to late last year, he finished, I think it was 3rd and behind Moxie. We all know what Moxie's done since then. So there's some really, really good form to take out of old Bill Bone. And off that run there, he's certainly ready. And if he gets a bit of clear air early enough, I think he'll give Maoate a bit of a run.
One Brendan Popplewell amongst the ownership there, is that right, team?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, you're spot on. Spot on.
Okay, wonder if he's going to have that in the betting selections anywhere. Old Bill Bone. What about a horse that loves Whanganui? Here's Cooper back to Whanganui. 13.40, yes, but he loves a joint, Steve, as they say.
Yeah, and this was a really good win. Visually, it may not look like that, but they went extremely hard to the 600. He's one horse that landed on speed and fought off all his rivals who were set up by the strong tempo who came from the second half of the field. So it was a really brave victory on a course that he absolutely loves. And this was 3 starts back, albeit at 75 grade. So he's got to step up to open class. Since then, he went to Trentham. They chanced their arm, which I've got no knock. But he just didn't like the TAB shoot. Then they went round to Bend to Autaki, and it wasn't a bad run last start. Again, he sat on speed, but you had Onanera who won the race. Idyllic, who loves the Bend at Autaki, was hard to run down that day. Slipper Island was 3rd. And the 4th horse, in Master Brutus, came out and won yesterday at Ashburton to upgrade the form. And Master Brutus and Cooper basically finished across the line together. So, yeah, I'm warming towards Cooper. Again, I reckon he's found the right open class race to be winning. He gets back to Whanganui, which he loves, and I think he can land right on speed, which is his nice sweet spot.
What about Knockoff? I see a bit of money for Knockoff first up, Steve. That is another horse that performs well on the Whanganui surface and had a very good last preparation. I thought some sort of chance at a bit decent price.
Yeah, look, money will be a key factor in this individual purely because, as you say, it's first up after progressing throughout the winter last year. Look, I think he's got some really good races ahead of him over the May, June, July period. But look, he's had no trials leading in, so I'm not sure where he is in terms of fitness. So again, I'll come back. Money will be a great intel, which you'll be able to speak of tomorrow afternoon. But at this stage, he's dandling at double figures. But without doubt, he's got the ability, and he comes right into it if there's a couple of downgrades.
Okay, yeah, I can tell you there's a little bit of a sniff around Knockoff already. And the last horse, Churchillian, which way is it going to go? I guess we don't know yet. We got any indication?
I would be leaning here, just with a soft draw, probably not as much tempo and challenges compared to up at Tauranga. We've got a jockey here in Leah Hemi. We know that she's one of the better jockeys in the Central District. So, yeah, I'd be leaning here, but again, it's a bit of a wait and see. But money's not giving us any strong indication which way they may go.
Okay. Can bob up, Churchillian. Not when you least expect it. What about a betting strategy here, Paul? In the Open, 13.40. I guess it's really a case of whether you're with Maoate and willing to take odds on, or you start specking something at slightly longer odds each way.
I am with Maoate, but because BP's not here, I thought we needed a same race multi, and I thought this might be the ideal race for a same race multi. As you say, Maoate now odds on at $1.90, so I'm going to take Maoate to win the race. I'll take Old Bill Bone, top 3 finish. Look, any sting out of the track, he'll just relish that big time. And then Bedtime Story, who has a good record there as well for a top 4 finish. So Maoate to win, Old Bill Bone top 3, and Bedtime Story top 4. That comes out at around $10.
Okay, a nod to BP there with Old Bill Bone as well in the same race.
Yeah,
we haven't talked
BP.
about Bedtime Story much, but I'm more than capable on its day. But talk about betting strategy as well, Steve, here.
Well, firstly, on Bedtime Story, she's got to lump the 60 kilograms. She tends to go better fresh, and that's where she finds herself on the weekend. So if she was to oppose that big weight, it might be first up. But I'm sure that she's working back from heading towards the Group 1 at Trentham over a mile in a couple of weeks' time. Again, we're talking about track conditions. I reckon if it's worse than a soft 6, Maoate and back that individual with a little bit of confidence at the $1.90. But if the track was to hold up and no worse than a soft 6, I think the $10 around Cooper back at Whanganui. He loves the joint. I thought his run, if you want to just exclude and move the performance at Trentham because he just doesn't operate down the TAB chute. I thought his last start run at Autaki held merit, and as I say, the form's been upgraded, and this race looks to be no stronger to what he challenged last start in the Central District. So I thought he was a nice 1x2 play, but again, stress, if it gets into that deep, soft range to heavy, I'll land with Maoate.
Okay, the team with Maoate, can he continue on his winning way? But Cooper represents a little bit of value on a track he loves in the Open 1340.
It was good.
Yeah, time for another week, Steve. Who do we get stuck into right now, and who do we hold fire if we like for a little bit later on in betting?
As you see graphically, not a huge amount. I'll go to Whanganui only because the conditions are potentially a little bit safer than what it is at Tauranga. But I'll go Pinafore in the first in the juvenile race. A lot of these horses are going to expose themselves for possibly challenging the size in a few weeks' time at Trentham at Group 1 level over the 1400 metres. But I thought Pinafore, albeit I know Ronaldo is clearly the horse to beat, and there's a massive wrap on the Robbie Patterson trained galloper, but I thought Pinafore deserved to be a little bit short, a little bit closer than Ronaldo on what this individual did last start at Tauhara. In terms of NAS, Whanganui race 3, Princess Elsa. Well, look, she's had the 9 starts to date, and her ratings have just become very static, not to the required standard to be winning that particular event, and there's at least 6 rivals that bring a higher rating from their last start. So I thought $7, Princess Elsa, was a touch unders.
Okay, interesting, particularly when we're going to have a look at this 2-year-old race in a minute. Do you know Mark Stafford tipped me Pinafore on the radio yesterday?
Yeah.
So
He usually gets the good oil too.
he does on the mail run there on Saturday morning, so he's telling me Pinafore as well, so maybe it is a bet currently at $7. Let's have a look at that race, Steve, because this could have some implications towards the size produce. It's race number 1 on the card, the Pallet Mountains Nutrition 2-year-old over the 1200. Odds on here, Ronaldo,
$1.75 off a peak of $2.25. You can see there in front of Pinafore, 6 out to 7. Just something had to give with that volume of money around Ronaldo on Wednesday and Thursday. Tifosi?
Yeah, I'll go
Tifosi at $8.
Yeah.
Speed Demon at $8.50, and Truly Divine best of the rest at 8.5. So there's really a little, like clearly Pinafore's the second best back runner, but outside that, it's a little bit friendless when it comes to the rivals against Ronaldo.
Well, it's been a bit of, as you say, a bit of an avalanche for Ronaldo. It always makes me nervous. Craig Grill's Robbie Patterson. Here's the debut win, Steve, of Ronaldo breaking maidens at New Plymouth in, short margin.
Yeah, the money was on this day. He'd trialled up like a demon, Ronaldo, and he lived right up to the market expectation, even though he was challenged by Excite for the majority of the straight there, you see there for the James Wellwood team. And we can use a little bit of this form reference that purely Excite has come out and run subsequently to this event on Wednesday at Matamata and finished second to a good sort and seized the day out of the Tiakau barn, who is currently favoured for the size produce. So pretty good form around this individual, Ronaldo. That was on a rain-affected going, so you can back with a little bit of confidence 24 hours out, knowing that he can operate on those conditions. But I think just going on his action, he will benefit on the better track. He's got a beautiful action, big imposing, son of Ribchester. I'd say whatever he does as a juvenile, he's going to be twice the horse at 3. So, between now and the end of the season, it will be a bonus for this individual. But look, soft draw, Craig Grills, I'm sure this is why he's come down to the Central Districts. He would have had some really good rides up at Tauranga in the Group 2, etc. So he's riding for his best mate in Robbie, and I'm sure if they get the job here done, they'll be pushing on towards Trentham, and if we've got a bit of time, maybe we can bring up that market when it comes to the Group 1.
Yeah, okay, there might be some ramifications there, and maybe this horse, if this is a bet Pinafore, Paul, may have something to say in a size produce. This is the win at its 3rd start at Toheta Nikau.
Yeah, and we're getting a bit of a price for it at 7 just because of all the weight of money on the favourite Ronaldo, now into $1.75. Look, she was very, very good here, ridden positively, and I think that was the determining factor at Toheta Nikau. 2 starts prior to that, in fact, her first ever race day start, she was at Toheta Nikau, finishing 3rd. But this time, they went forward. She looked very, very good. She looked well within herself. She was good through the line. A lot of positives to take out of Pinafore's win there. And look, she's getting to the point where you're going to have a little bit of money on her just because she's getting out, that $7 is a wonderful price. And if she continues to drift, and of course, if we take the odd surge as well, we get a little bit more. Look, taking nothing away from Ronaldo, he was super impressive. And as Steve says, that combination of Robbie Patterson and Craig Grills is always dangerous. So the $1.70 may be another same race multi sort of scenario here, but I do like the look of this filly, Pinafore, out at around $7.
Not to steal your own thunder, but yeah, $8.50 available. So if 7 was a bet on Pinafore, Steve, $8.50 would be a bet.
Look, I think she starts clear second fave, somewhere between where she sits now and Ronaldo's price. It'll be interesting to see where Ronaldo's price ends up. Obviously, there's smart money, which we call in the office, has brought its price in from black to red. But if you're just going off last up performances, I know it's 2-year-olds. 2-year-olds can very much improved from their first up debut run to second up significantly. So they're expecting that with Ronaldo, because if you go on just the last up performance ratings off my score, Pinafore, what she did at Tauranga rated 2.5 lengths stronger than what Ronaldo did on debut at New Plymouth. So the key around Pinafore is it's had 3 starts to date. Third at Tauranga, in behind McGill, which we know that form has been frank. That horse ran a very courageous placing in the Karaka Million earlier in the year. But its one failure has been on a heavy track at MP. So again, if there's too much rain, maybe we get a price and that doesn't firm around Pinafore. But I'm just banking that it's going to be around that better side of soft. And if that's the case, $7 and the $8.50 boost is overs.
Okay, might have a look at the size market if we can, because obviously with no Lara and Topova, that's really going to throw things in. Just Seize the Day, who we obviously saw win Matamata during the week, your $3.80 favourite, but
Ronaldo, $10.
Haven't missed it at 41s though.
No.
I suggest it's a losing result.
There'll be a whole heap of money flowing Taranaki's way if Ronaldo does get up in the size produce.
Summer Schema was good at Ellerslie winning on debut. Have a bit of a chat about this market, Steve.
Well, look, it's very even. The fact that our best 2-year-old and dominant 2-year-old on Lara Antipova is not going to be here. I think she's going to go over to Australia and stick to the 1,200 metres or even below. So Seize the Day, who, as I've already mentioned, won a maiden at Matamata in a race that has been used in the past. You only have to go back 12 months ago. Hostility and Harjana came out of that particular 2-year-old race at Matamata before placing in the size a few weeks later. So Seize the Day, I'm sure Opie will ride. He's a horse that can land on speed, and 1,400, definitely no issue. He can overdo it early in running, which we saw last start at Matamata, but there's clearly ability for Seize the Day. Just in case, ran okay at Ellerslie. Harvey Warbanger was doing his thing and running home late, which he can often do. We've spoken about Ronaldo. Sweetest Thing was a real eye catcher at Ellerslie, but a sense of timing around that individual. The horse that intrigues me the most is St. Monica for the James Wellwood team at $10. Rated through the roof at Tauranga, and its one and only run a few weeks ago. It's got the pedigree. I think they paid at least $300K at the sales. So it's got something about it for this individual, and the fact that it was late nom during the week. So the bookies have included her in the market at $10. I think she brings real X factor, and I can't wait to see her as a 3-year-old.
Sorry, Paul.
If we get you to put your bookies hat back on, and you haven't had it on for a few years now, but if you do put it back on, if Ronaldo were to win, what does he move to from $10?
I was going to say quite big movement, just as because this race sort of needs some shaping, doesn't it, I guess?
And that's what unfolded at Matamata. It needed a horse to really stand up, because they had all been running okay, albeit at Group 1, Group 2 level, the likes of Harvey Warbanger, just in case, who all its best figures have been on a wet track on his home deck. So it needed a horse to come out and put a performance like Seize the Day did, albeit a maiden class. But obviously he was a high-priced yearling. He's got the pedigree, comes out of the right barn, who just gets the job done in these feature 2-year-old races. So the overall profile, I'm not arguing that Seize the Day deserves to be fave, albeit it's just won a maiden grade and will be stepping up to group class and Group 1 class for the very first time. But similar to Ronaldo, if he can put that field away at Whanganui, he may challenge favouritism. But St. Monica's ratings, again, albeit in a maiden class, was right up to what Seize the Day performed.
What did you just hear? What did you hear?
Why, I heard back Ronaldo and Pinafore in the futures market.
That's exactly what I heard
tomorrow.
too.
Yeah, I thought I thought you might have. What about who are you with? You're with Pinafore, Steve. Who are you with, Paul, in the race, the 2-year-old?
Yeah, I don't mind at the price.
Yeah.
Ronaldo's horse to beat, isn't he?
Big time.
And we're not denying that.
No.
But just in terms of a betting strategy on the prices, Pinafore looks over.
Okay, Stephen Hunt, Paul Maoate, Mark Stafford, all over Pinafore. And the 2-year-old
How's that for
race
a
number
front
1
row?
with some size produce ramifications to boot. Foreplay time for another week. Your chance to win a $100 4-leg bonus cash multi on our 4 good things of the weekend. Head to the TAB Facebook page. Interact with the leg up question this week. It'll be your favourite Japan Trophy winner. That'll be interesting. The Group 2 feature there out of Tauranga. BP not here, but he has given... Oh, yes, of course he has. Old Bill Bone to kick off the foreplay. Look, I do think it is a good bet in the race. Up in grade, down in weight. Cody Cole tricks it. 2CD deserves probably a win at short notice, old Bill Bone. We only need him to finish top 4 at $1.50.
I'm going to head to Tauranga race 5, and I love the look of this mare, Grand Gallo. She loves Tauranga. She's only finished out of the money once from 5 starts there. She comes into this, I thought, off some very nice trials, well held. So all we want is a top 4 here, and we get 210 on Grand Gallo to finish top 4, race 5, Tauranga.
I got a Whanganui, the local monologue. Real sense of timing, was a game second first up at 1400 metres, steps up to the mile, unbeaten second up. As I say, is a local, will be ready to run a race, possibly head to Trentham on a Premier Day. Monologue, top 4, $1.50.
I got Scouser race number 3 at Whanganui. I'm with Cody Cole as well as BP. Scouser, look back in trip, but super consistent form line. Gets into the right sort of race, does Scouser, so I think at $1.50 it will be running top 4. That $100 bonus 4-play multi could return you $608.75. Head to the TAB Facebook page. We want your favourite Japan Trophy winner to pick up that $100 4-play multi. Okay, best bet time coming up, but before we look forward, we look back.
I'm going to go to one of the Group 1s on the program, and that is the Hong Kong Jockey Club World Pool New Zealand Derby, and I am going with That's Gold.
It's Road to Paris and Autumn Glory. Road to Paris, Roger James trained to 7th Derby winner. Second over Autumn Glory, third at the line as they went across was Geneva a run, and Wigmore likewise. In behind those next close up we had Sweet Eyes, Towering Vision, Yamato Satona, Halo's Fire, then That's Gold.
I'll go to New Plymouth. Let's not forget about the CD meeting on Saturday. Let's go early in the card. Race 3, the Maiden 1300. Number 5, Rock All Night.
I'm going to go to Ellerslie, the last race of the day, race 10. It's for the fillies and mares over 1,300 metres, and I do like the clockworthy mare, Sister Sugar.
At the 100 metres, Bethany D. Elsa-Ree out wide, ranging. Transaction getting out late. Oh, she's a winning machine, Elsa-Ree fresh up. She'll win it second. These photos close between Bethany D or the late charging Transaction. Then came Spilari. Fossey was next for Mid-Ocean, followed over by Sister Sugar.
I'm heading down to New Plymouth with Stephen Hunt. I'm with the Collet trained Basil Warrior.
Across the track, When Stars Align, Basil Warrior. Basil Warrior moved up to take the lead. Idyllic fights on, and then When Stars Align, but it's Basil Warrior going home a winner. Basil Warrior won it.
I've never seen that graphic of me kicking home a winner.
And there's a reason.
Yeah. You've got to pick something that goes to
more subdued than BP, I'm sure, on the weekend.
Yeah, he does know how to celebrate one. You've got to pick something that goes to the races.
I know, I do.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, well.
I'm calling that stat padding.
Yeah,
taking the late scratchings. Very good. Okay, let's start with our bets of the weekend. BP obviously not with us, but he has gone for the Roger James Robert Wellwood trained December. Look, very good. Last time out to the races. Yes, inside draw. Hopefully not too much rain about for December. But the second beating home Adalio last time out as well. Does look awfully strong form for that open sprint. That's race number 5 on the card. So December for BP.
Yeah, tricky day assessing the track conditions, what rain's going to fall on Friday, but I'll just do copy and paste my foreplay as my best. Race 7, the rating 75-mile monologue. As I said, she presented first up a couple of weeks back at Autaki, ran a game 1,400 metres. She steps up to her prime trip, 1,600 metres. She's unbeaten second up. She finds her home track. And I reckon she's going to go through the grades monologue. I love her, love her. Nice win bet. Best bet for the weekend.
Wow, what an absolute go. Look, I'm going to go to race 4 at Tauranga, the rating 75 over the 1,400 metres. And I've gone wide here, yeah. Bourbon proof, out at $20 right now. However, I do like this fella. Had a trial to be freshened for this. 3 kilos off the back, so down to 58 kilos with Jack Taplin aboard. Look, I think he'll give us a run for our money. So, yeah. Bourbon proof, race 4 Tauranga.
Oh, Steve, you've laid it on thick too with my with monologue. Completely stolen it off me. My best of the weekend. Got to be with ARA at Whanganui. Gee, she does look a talented mare. The first up run, flashing red light and goes better second up, back to the home track. Winning monologue. For me to make it 2 in a row, that could be a first time ever. I always worry that when you tip something at 20s, I say worry, I actually might get more interested. Because you are notorious at picking out these roughies as your best bet. How the heck did you come up with bourbon proof?
Don't worry about it.
Okay, exactly. And that's good. That's a good answer. I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to back it.
Keeps that mystery.
Exactly. What about the Waz this weekend? Can they make it 2 from 2 against the Raiders?
Good. How good was the start to the season? Up against the Chooks and absolutely put one on them. I see there's been a bit of a move. They were $1.87 this morning before we walked in here. Now into $1.80. The Raiders have drifted out to $2.02. Look, the Raiders have a pretty good record against the Waz. They've won the last 3. Joey Tarpany.
Start that chat.
He'll be doing all sorts of bad things for the Raiders against the Waz. Funny thing in that game last week against the Roosters, 10 tries scored, not one winger scored a try. I think we're starting to see a shift in, I'm not sure, in a gameplay, I guess you could say. So Roger Tuivasa-Sheck didn't score a try last week. DWZ didn't score a try last week. But there were a whole heap of tries, so maybe let's get on them this week. Otherwise, look for either one of the centres or one of the edge players. Hudson Young, he's very, very good at scoring a try for the Canberra Raiders. He's $70 to score the first. I'd take him as an anytime try scorer as well. And if we look to later on tonight, the big game, the Rabbitohs against the Roosters, one of the oldest rivalries in rugby league, and we could see history with AJ looking to take Ken Irvine's all-time try-scoring record. He's on 211, needs one more to equal Ken Irvine's record. He's $1.57 to score a try tonight, and he's $3.15 to score 2 or more tries, which would break Ken Irvine's record. So plenty to look forward. We may witness history tonight.
Rabbits beat the Dolphins. That wasn't a bad effort first up either. So they
have a look at that left edge. Latrell,
and they're
Fafita,
they're outsiders
like the rain. Did they play Canberra at home in the rain last year? And they got touched up, didn't they?
They lost.
Oh,
yeah, okay. No,
I know what you're saying.
Let's get to some racing. Talk about promos, Paul. Where's where do we have to look this weekend?
We've got a bonus cashback on selected races from both Tauranga and Rosehill. That's back to second or third, up to $50 in bonus cash. And of course, the one that you like, the Odd Surge. And it's on every single race at Whanganui on Saturday. Maximum bet $100.
Okay, I'm taking Pinafore now at $8.50. On that Odd Surge. That'll be what I'd be doing right as we speak. Thank you, gentlemen, for your efforts as always. What's the plans tomorrow, Steve? You'll be at Whanganui?
Whanganui, drive up later on this afternoon. Sweens and I will be looking to find some winners. Go monologue.
Yeah, okay.
What happened there?
Come back in, Paul. Come back in.
Yep.
With their, what are you doing tomorrow? Busy weekend?
No. I'll be watching the races from my couch after a big weekend last weekend. So taking it easy and watching Pinafore go for gold.
Real Pinafore 850. Thank you for joining us as always. This has been The Leg Up. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you in 7 days' time.